Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeanne Gallagher, and this is Discover Rising Tides, How the Outside Makes the Inside Better. And we're here with Denise Stegall, our longevity concierge. Hey, Denise.
Hello, hello.
And what are we talking about today?
Well, I'd like to talk about something that actually you and I were talking about a little bit this morning, but I want to pull in what Susan Otten, our your guest for later on, something that she talks about, or kind of a theme that she talks about, and it is about joy and purpose and how giving and doing for yourself initially eventually helps others. So when you're doing good things for you, you're doing good things for others when it comes to your health and wellness. And I'd like to talk about the first three. We'll do six of them. We'll do three today and three another time. Six things that can help you to live with more joy, more happiness, or as they say in français, joie de vivre. Especially, we say especially in turbulent times, but in any time, in any time in life, things get crazy, right? We get busy, people have babies and we gotta fly everywhere, all sorts of things. Life is never like this kind of even keeled
Mhm.
kind of thing. There's always something going on. So I think it's really important for us to think about the things that can make us happy on a regular basis. Now, so help us to experience joy on a regular basis. Happiness is more of a fleeting emotion. Now, of course, we want to feel more happy emotions than we want unhappy emotions, right? But it really is that constant feeling of joy, of purpose, of contentment that I think we're really striving for. So I'd like to talk about what I think are three out of six of three important factors to focus on if this is something that you are searching for in your life.
I think that too, we might not realize that we need to search for it.
Mhm.
Hmm.
One of
When
the
there's
things
an
I think,
absence of joy, you don't realize that there's an absence of joy until you find it, and then you realize you
right,
didn't have it.
you're right, there's kind of a void, but you don't really know what it is.
Hmm.
And again, you may not be unhappy. Things are fine. How often do we hear people say, "Oh, things are fine.
Fine.
I'm
Things
good.
are good.
Everything's okay." Um, but that's not really the life, the feeling we want to experience in life on a daily basis, at least on a regular basis. We all have a day here and there, not a great day, right? Whatever. For the for those of us that who struggle with sleep, I don't normally, but there are times when you know I didn't sleep great, the other night. So it's taken a couple of nights for me to kind of get back on track. Um, but I digress. That's about me. So first thing, and my first one and number one and two, initially I had number two is number one and one is two, but I've made a decision that number one has to be in order to have more joy and happiness, we need to include more laughter in our lives. We gotta laugh more. Everybody's so serious and so stressed out. Laughter, is a natural stress reliever, anxiety reliever. And those are two of the top things that are making us unhappy today, stress and anxiety.
Mhm.
Well, it's really hard to be stressed out or unhappy or frustrated when you are laughing physically and actually, physically what's going on in your body, right? Endorphins, you've got chemical reactions going on, your mood is getting elevated, elevated mood, better sense of well-being. And you think about it, you have a good laugh and it doesn't just kind of go "Ah," and it's done. There's a lasting feeling.
Mhm. It comes from deep down.
Yes, yes. You know, in whether you're at work or with friends, it's actually laughing and, bringing a little bit of comedy into life. It is really an easy way to kind of lighten the mood.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like I'm in certain situations with people where sometimes it's just heavy. And it's just, the situation or the people, who they are. Um, and sometimes just with a little bit of, a comic relief, it completely changes the mood. It changes the way people look at you and how they connect with you also.
It changes the energy in the room.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So laughter to me is such an easy way to bring more joy, bring more happiness, and just being a little more lighthearted
Mhm.
um, allows us to experience life and things much differently and to see it from a different perspective. So laughter number one. What do you think number two is going to be?
What is
Knowing
it?
me the way you know me.
Dessert first.
Uh-oh. Okay, healthy
Eat,
dessert first.
eat real food.
Yes, of course, eat real food. Specifically, eating delicious homemade meals. Now, they don't have to be, like, oh, it's a holiday. We're going to spend hours in the kitchen. I hate doing that, even around the holidays. Like, that's not my favorite thing. Like, I love cooking. I find it's my outlet for creativity in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. Um, so, home cooked meals can be very simple, but very simple, but also they really do need to be nutritious. We can just by cooking at home, not even changing your diet, not that I don't think we should, we have to pay attention, but even without changing a diet, if we're eating home cooked meals, we are already eating better, less
Mhm.
sodium, less additives, less MSG. I was looking for salad dressing the other day. Mark likes ranch salad dressing, which I do not like unless I've made it myself. And they all have MSG in it.
Mhm.
Every last one of them in the supermarket. Now, I have been able to go to specialty stores and can find salad dressings without MSG. But seriously, just making a salad dressing at home, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of vinegar, maybe I usually use a little bit of Dijon mustard, some salt and
Mhm.
pepper, maybe some spices, maybe just the salt and pepper. Mix that up. You've got this beautiful salad dressing that is void of all of that crap that they've put
Mhm.
in the salad dressings or the ketchup or the steak sauce or the mayonnaise or whatever it is, right? So again, cooking at home, you can control one, the recipes, you can control what you're eating. How many times you go to a restaurant and you're like, you look at the menu and you're like, there's really nothing on here that really floats my boat. And Mark and I struggle with that here when we're at home in Rochester because there aren't a lot of great restaurants. We've got maybe three restaurants that I think are good. Everything else basically serves the same food.
Mhm.
So if I want to have a good meal, something that tastes good, I know I can actually make it better at home than they do at the restaurants. So just alone, again, eating real food, cooking at home can improve your overall health and well-being. How
Mhm.
does that help happiness and joy? When we're eating better, our body feels better. We're digesting better. We're sleeping better. I mentioned sleep before.
Mhm.
Um,
We're more
when we
active,
feel
most likely.
absolutely,
Mhm.
when we feel better, we feel good, we find more happiness, we find more joy. Why? Because we're doing things that we enjoy. We have, like you said, the more energy and um, life feels good. It takes the heaviness away. And literally, I mean heaviness when we're talking about some of these foods that you can have out at restaurants. Cooking at home, you can take the same exact recipe or the same exact meal and cut the calories in half the sodium, half the fat. So that's number two. All right. Number three, movement. We got to move. I like to move it, move it. I know I say these things quite
And that
often.
brings the laughter.
There's the laughter. See, I make things a little lighter. I think that me dancing around here, for those of you who are just listening, I'm dancing around in my seat. I look absolutely ridiculous. So you might want to check out the video. Then you'll laugh. Um, okay, back to where I was. Movement is a mood enhancer. Again, releases endorphins, alleviates stress and anxiety, promotes physical, emotional, and mental health. When we feel good, our bodies feel good, our mental state, our emotions are all feeling good and in a positive way. Oh, guess what? Happiness and joy, right? One of the things I think when it comes to movement or lack thereof, everybody goes, oh, but I'm tired. I had this conversation with my sister recently. She was driving home from work and she's an hour ahead of me. So I was getting ready to go on my treadmill or my elliptical. I can't remember. So it was probably 4 o'clock by me, 5 o'clock by her. And she was saying, oh, but I'm just so tired. Like, I had a busy day at work and la, la, la. And this is my sister, but could be my client. It could be my friend. It could be almost anybody right? I'm tired. Everybody's always tired. What helps you to actually be less tired is actually moving.
Do something.
Why don't we do it? We don't establish a routine with movement. Notice I'm not saying exercise, because I think as soon as I say exercise, everyone's like, oh my God, because now people like you and me, we take movement and exercise to a different level, right? Jeanne, you go to CrossFit, you do yoga, you do every outside sport that I know of, except for running. That's one I know you don't love.
No running here.
That's the one that I do.
Run. I can walk for days. Don't gonna
there
run.
You go. No running. But the point of it is, one, everybody's tired. Two, because there's no routine. And I find that if we put movement on our calendar, if we make it something we do every day, now it doesn't have to be the same thing every day. And I would actually encourage that you don't do the same thing every day. One, you'll get bored into use injuries up because of that. But when you actually establish a routine of at 4:30, I'm going to go for a walk, or at 4:30, I'm going to go for a bike ride, whatever it is, you plan the rest of your day accordingly. When you get outside and do that, you will feel good again, and you'll want to keep doing it, right? Obviously, there are, so the mental and physical benefits. What are some of the others? When you start doing this more and more, when we start moving, and again, I'm not just talking about exercise, I'm actually talking about moving, walking up and down the stairs, or, I have to do that. If I want a cup of tea, I have to go up 2 flights of stairs because my office is downstairs. Little things add up. We are very sedentary. I mean, think about how many hours we sit in front of the television. Or I found a statistic the other day. We spend, as Americans, 28 hours on average scrolling through social media. Guys, I think we can find the time to do some movement. But again, so movement is going to be great today, but this is how you're really going to find your health, and not your health and happiness, your joy and your happiness, right? You're going to lower your blood pressure. You're going to improve your cholesterol. You're going to lower your blood sugar. Obesity and diabetes is a huge epidemic in our country. Movement will help to move the needle in the other direction. And of course, strengthen your muscles and bones for flexibility. And when you start to move more, whether you intend to lose weight or not, you will notice that a leaner side of yourself. Moving more will build that muscle that, one, helps you to lose weight, but also it will shrink your body and change the way your body composition looks like. So
And
those
it
are
brings
those are the
joy.
top three that I have that would truly make most of us or allow most of us to find joy
Mm.
and happiness in our day, every week, every year.
Those are great. And I look forward to and check in for the next three for to bring happiness and joy. Thanks, Denise, very, very much.
Thank you. Always appreciate it. It's always great to see you, Jeanne.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discover Rising Tides, How the Outside Makes the Inside Better. My name is Jeanne Gallagher, and I'm excited to have Susan Otten with us again for a repeat visit. Hi, Susan, how are you?
Really good, really good. Thank you. This is fun.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. And so give us a quick little bio, and then we're gonna dive in and work our way around.
Perfect. I love diving in. So I am Susan Otten, and I'm founder and CEO of Indie Do Good, which is a logistics company, and or the simpler term is 3PL, which is third party logistics.
Mhm,
And we support mostly CPG companies, a couple of industrials that have a strong element of doing good. That's why it's called Indie Do Good, so independent companies. And so we do a lot of pick, pack, ship for consumer orders for them. We help them with their B2B, so that's shipping. We might receive a semi-load and then turn it around, break those pallets down and ship it back out 2 pallets at a time or whatever the customer needs. And that's to the point of we're kind of a non-traditional or a little bit different kind of 3PL company. We like to say we're kinder, gentler because we're women owned, mostly women employees. And we do have this strong element of we want to do what we can, whatever we can,
mhm,
in ways that will help our clients, delight their clients. Things that a 3PL would never touch, like, yeah, we're gonna do an influencer mailing and we're gonna package it delightfully and we're gonna put fancy, paper in it and that kind of stuff. Get a bunch of guys in the warehouse, not to be sexist, but they're not gonna pay attention to the level of detail that we do when we package that stuff and put it out to get influencers to fall in love with the products and the brand.
mhm.
So we do that. And it's kind of fun. It's full circle. When I started my 15-year career with Apple, I just remembered this recently that I also started in a warehouse. And a friend of
Mm.
mine who was the warehouse manager recently sent me a picture that we took of the whole team back in, I think, the late 80s or something like that. And it was just hysterical. Like it took me a while to find myself because
Oh,
that what I looked like back then? Wow.
what a fun look back.
Yeah, that was great. And then, but the other part of my life, the more the personal side is my husband has Parkinson's. So we
Mhm,
have dealt with that early diagnosis when he was 51, not as early as Michael J. Fox's diagnosis at the age of 27,
mm,
but and our daughter came up with the idea that she wanted to raise money for Parkinson's. So she ran a couple marathons because during the COVID period, right after COVID, marathons were so crowded, you couldn't get a bib. You couldn't, they were drawn by lottery and it was really hard to get in. So she ran for Michael J. Fox because the nonprofits would buy up bibs and it was a fundraising initiative.
mhm,
So she did that. She did New York and Chicago that way.
mhm.
I did Chicago, but the year before, and I got in the lottery because how many old people really want to run a marathon? And that was fun though, because that was in 2019, right before COVID. And I beat my time from, um, I think it was, can't even remember now, 18 years before that. I ran
Wow.
the marathon and I beat my time the second time I ran it. So that was fun. And then I followed my daughter when she ran. It's like running a marathon if you've ever done that, to try to follow a person running a marathon, but you got to get cool pictures, you got to wave and all that stuff. So there's that, but she's the one that had the idea she wanted to do something bigger than just a couple marathons. Oh, she also did an Ironman for Parkinson's, but she wanted to do something really distinctive. And
Mhm,
so we used to live in Georgia, close to where the trail, either for us it terminated, for most people it begins,
mhm.
and at Springer Mountain. And she said, let's hike the Appalachian Trail. But she said that to her best friend, soulmate, going to be maid of honor in her wedding this summer. Um, and at the last minute, not last minute, she gave us plenty of notice, but she had to back out. And then, but Mama Bear wasn't going to let Baby Bear hike that whole 2,200 miles by herself. It's a little bit dangerous. And so a few places where there's creepy people along the trail. And so I went with, and it was such a blessing to spend that amount of time with our daughter, who had been away from home 4 hours or 4 years in undergrad, 4 years in vet school, 1 year
Mm.
vet internship, and then she comes home when we leave for the Appalachian Trail, literally like 9 days after she finished her internship, and then we were sleeping that far apart from each other in a tent for 5.5 months. So it kind of went from feast to famine, or the other way around, I should say it, famine to feast. And it was a great way to connect again, build relationships, learn what you don't like about each other, all that stuff.
Mhm.
But it was amazing. And in the process, we raised just short of $100,000 for Parkinson's and awareness. We like to say we raised awareness and also the funds, but we did 96 YouTube videos, and it's out there on a channel called Appalachian Trail for Parkinson's Disease. And Greta was the creative director, the videographer, the rough cut editor, and then we had a delightful advertising marketing friend out of Milwaukee, the Rally Company, that pro bono put together, edited all the videos and published them to YouTube for us, because it was hard to do that on the trail. You don't have much Wi-Fi connection,
Mhm.
and we'd have enough that Greta would upload to the cloud the videos that she had at the time, and get him to him when he could. But we tried to publish like every other day. So within a couple of days, we had, we're walking around with our phones. Do we have connection here? Oh, maybe if we climb that mountain, we'll get it. So that was fun. But just another thing that took time along such a worthy cause, because not only did people along the trail follow us because they wanted to help,
Mhm.
um, it was kind of distinctive to have an old lady like me hiking with a 6 foot tall, two sport D1 collegiate athlete, Ironmaner, more marathons than she could count. And, I'm barely 5'4". I've done 3 marathons, but really, really slow. Like my first one, they closed the course, and I just made it before they closed the course, like within seconds. So, I mean, that's really, really slow. Um, but
I
I
call
got
it
better.
completed.
Yes, that's all you care about.
That's about 24 miles more than me.
Yeah, you got the medal. Yep, you got the medal. That's all you need. So anyway, it was just, the trip of the lifetime, more blessings that we could count, more miracles of God we could count. And the videos were amazing because they were like one of our main communications with people that we didn't even know. And if they lived along the trail, the other thing about the trail that was just so, I can't even think of the adjective. Delightful isn't even begin to come close enough, but it restored our confidence in humanity,
Mhm.
and how kind
Mhm.
people could
It
be.
is.
Yeah.
It's I'm an Appalachian Trail geek. So when we first talked, I thought I wanted to just talk about the trail and nothing else, because
Yeah.
I wanted to live it through you both.
Mhm.
And the trail provides is a common saying,
Yes.
because it does,
Yeah.
it is that lift of humanity.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when you and Greta, just to stop for just a second, because you said it so quickly, and I think it's important to say it much more slowly, is that you raised $100,000 for Parkinson's.
Yeah. Almost we
Yeah,
got there. And then
almost. Really,
I'm
yeah.
throwing I'm throwing in, we did 2 years, and we'll do it again. We'll keep doing it. There's a woman that has Parkinson's, which is really rare, and she lives in Maryland. And the first year she did it was the year we were on trail, and she was going to come out and take me to resupply, because that was when Greta was in a wedding up in Pennsylvania. So, oh gosh, golly, I have to sit and rest at my niece's house for 4 days. And but things were really crazy with the first Top Golf tournament, and I
Hmm.
didn't realize this. I'm not a golfer, but you can network all the Top Golf locations and do a nationwide tournament, and that's
Oh,
what she was
wow.
doing. and the Minnesota Top Golf location was not covered. And I'm like, well, I could do that, I can get some people together to golf. So we've been doing that for the last few years, and also supported another sweet family here that raises money for Parkinson's. The dad of that family, gosh, he's not very old now. He's maybe 50, 40 something, but he was diagnosed really early too. And they have, I think, 3 kids, very active, very sporty family. He runs marathons, the dad does still, and trying to stay as active as possible and keep up with his kids and stuff like that. So sweet. So I spoke at their golf tournament last year about the trail. So do whatever I can to help the cause, um and it's a small way you can give back. And people that have Parkinson's or no Parkinson's knows that it's ugly. I I was playing with AI, and I kept saying in my messaging on the Top Golf tournament that I'm so mad with Parkinson's I could beat it with the golf club. And so I like kept saying that, and I'm like, gosh, I'm a very visual learner. I think it would be a lot better to have a picture of someone, beaten Parkinson's. So I found an image of what I kind of liked, and I'd never done anything with AI with images. And I did an AI generated image of me as a caricature. And I ran out of free prompts though, and the hair should have been a little bit curlier and a little bit longer, and the eyes were way too blue. But you got the idea. There was a cute old lady that was all mad and whapping at the golf ball that said Parkinson's disease on it. So it was fun.
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And there's this interesting correlation. And the mission statement of you touched on this, of Indie Do Good, and it is really to do good and make a difference and support other companies that have this philosophy. And that's really ingrained in you, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I think it's in all of us, and that's what
Mm,
we, try to do with our clients. If it's not inherent, and so many entrepreneurs these days are really, really aware and focused on the do good. And it's even, it's been kind of criticized as a marketing strategy because millennials are, have a lot of purchasing power and do care very much about many causes. And but I don't think it's a marketing thing. I think if you're passionate about something, you can't do life without supporting what you're passionate about.
mhm.
And it's just a way that we can help. It's a small thing, but we do what we can to help early stage companies, even mid stage. Doesn't make a difference how big they are. If we have room in the warehouse, which we do, we'll find a way to care for them. And there's something so special about supporting causes that you believe in, and then you're going to be surrounded with the community that believes in supporting that cause that you believe in. So it helps you, because especially like Parkinson's, it takes a village, really, and it's hard to um get your brain around that disease. Pardon, that's not even a bad pun. That was a mistake. Uh, you know, but it's like it's just so much, and they're learning so much, and you try to keep up with it. And I keep sending emails and research studies and stuff to Ron, and y- he doesn't have time for it, number one, and then to get his brain to process all of that and then absorb all that and then apply that is a really complicated process for someone with Parkinson's. And yeah, and it's just a tough disease. So anyway, but to being able to help people that are supporting things that they believe about is good for us as a business. That's what we believe in. It's good for the company because we're helping them be more successful. And if the more successful they are, the more good they can do. And then it's actually good for the individual business owners and their employees too, because I mean, statistics say if you are helping others, you have better mental health. Relationships are the number one factor for growing old healthy. It's like and everybody, I have this theory that everybody's passionate about something, and everybody can do some good, and if everybody did something that they're passionate, about and supported that cause, it would be the world would be a better place. And I don't think it would just be a little bit better. I think if everybody did it, it'd be a lot better. And
Mm.
so, we encourage that. Like Here's a real world example. My son and I give blood every 8 weeks. Okay. And that's like, if you give whole blood, that's what you can do every 8 weeks. And so before we leave, we sign up for the next one, make sure it works on both our calendars, and we sign up, and I usually pick him up because it's kind of on the way there. And then we give blood together. And, he's got veins that you could drive a semi truck through. And here I have my little teeny tiny veins and my low blood pressure, believe it or not. And,
Mhm.
he's got high blood pressure in these big veins, so he can give in like 3 minutes. It takes a while to get triaged and all cleaned up and everything like that, but actually pumping the blood out 3 minutes. And here I am, I got my feet flapping to keep my blood pressure up and my pulse up, and I'm, squeezing the ball they give you, and I warm blankets, so I, keep the blood flowing. And 20 minutes later, he's got all the cookies ate, and he's got, come on, it's time to go. I can't eat my cookies. So there was a sign on the wall they recently had redecorated, and it was so powerful to me. And it said 3 out of 5 people are eligible to give blood. 3 out of 5, that's pretty good. That's more than
Wow.
50% of the population, right?
Mhm.
But 3 out of 100 actually
Wow.
donate. Yeah. And I don't know if
Wow.
that's donate on a regular basis or have donated once and said, I want to do this again, but
Mhm.
that's what they had on the wall. 3 out of 5 are eligible, 3 out of 100 donate. And I did a Facebook, or I did a LinkedIn post about it, because it's just like, wow, it's, and yeah, it hurts a little bit, and maybe you get a bruise or something, but it's, in a couple of days it's gone. The people that need that blood.
Mhm.
And it's not that hard to do. Takes maybe an hour, you know, probably even shorter if you have big veins like my son. But it's and I got some decent response. And then I posted again to it, put another comment on it, and said, because I was still getting views and engagement. And I'm like, hey, if you see this post and you've signed up to go give blood, make a comment here. I want to see if this is really making a difference, because I know that giving blood makes a difference.
Mhm.
So, and within like 12 hours, I had I think it was, yeah, it was within like 8 hours, I had somebody post that they were donating. So I'm like, yay, you
Yay,
know,
fantastic.
yeah, you wanted to make a
I
difference.
I love that statement. Do something.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
something. And so when you and Greta were first stepped on the trail, what were your expectations? Did you have any?
Oh, well,
And
we would,
and so what, but wait a minute before you answer that. So most people first step on the trail at, as you already said, at Springer Mountain, but your
yeah,
first step on the trail was totally in the opposite direction because
right.
you chose, do you always do hard things hard?
No,
You
no, it was,
chose
yeah,
you
it was
chose
a
to
time
start in Maine
backwards. Yeah,
in my backyard, and you did all the hard stuff first. Your first steps were to
yeah,
climb Katahdin.
yeah, yeah. See, Greta and I did a prep hike out in Colorado to mostly to test our gear. And
Hmm.
because she had done all this research, and we spent like 3 8-hour days at the REI flagship store in Denver, and just spectacular help there. Just, I mean, we became best friends with, this one sales guy there. And people said, well, make sure you let us know when you start videoing. And, so we'd text them and stuff like that. So it was just great, delightful. But we did a test hike because we didn't know what we were doing. And you get done with that, every ounce is precious. Like my lip balm,
Hmm.
no lip balm in my backpack, and I'm a lip balm addict. And I went, 5.5 months with no lip balm, I think when you're out in God's creation, you don't need lip balm. That's my theory.
There you
So,
go.
but anyway, like there was this thing to blow up your sleeping pad, and it was like a
Yes.
air envelope, and you swoop the air
Hmm.
into it and then roll it up and squeeze the air into the thing. That was stupid. You could
I
blow it up.
I have one. I used it once. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is the worst invention ever.
Yes. No. I mean, I don't know whose idea was, I can't even remember the brand, which is probably a good thing. But I mean, the sleeping pad was great. It was kind of noisy, but it was nice and firm, and, gave us the cushion we needed. But I didn't need that thing to blow. And it weighed more than an ounce. And it was kind of big and clunky. So that did not go with. But in that in that experience being, I was out there where she was finishing up her vet med internship, which is why we went late, because that wasn't done until July 4th.
Mhm.
And they closed the state park where Katahdin is in Maine, because people, when it snows, people get lost on the mountain and die.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
so they don't like that happening. They do guided tours hiking up Katahdin. But the other thing is you hike for 4 miles just for the fun of it to get to the top, because that's where you start, is at the
That's the
top.
starting point, right?
Yeah. So
It's
that
the
four
approach
mile,
trail.
yeah, that's just kind of for the fun of it. And then we didn't want to go back down the same way because that's boring. And besides, Greta was a purist and had to step couldn't deviate from the trail. Like
Mhm.
if we had a cabin we were staying to or shelter and the trail goes like, this, and it's
Mhm.
off trail, so you could hike like this to get to it, and then you hike like this to go back to the
She's
trail.
got to go
Then,
back to the original spot.
yeah,
Yes.
because then you're missing the trail. You're not
That's
doing the
right.
whole trail.
No blue blazing for
And
Greta.
I did that with yeah, none of that. And I did it, except there was one where it was, no, I'm not doing that, and I'm like, I'll wait for you, I'll rest, and it was like, I don't know what it was, I don't remember now, but it was like, and I did it one time, and it's memorable. It kind of like I don't know if I regret it. I would probably do it again, but it gave me pause. It was a big decision. But I didn't really know a lot about the trail. So it was great. We did that test hike, testing the
Mhm.
gears, but we also recorded some pre-video. And there was one scene in there where I have this look on my face like, and the caption is ignorance is bliss. And because I really didn't know a lot about the trail, and that was really true. I knew it was long, I knew how many states it went through, I know it went up and down a lot, but you know is up and down um is up and down like Mount Everest 16 times, does that even seem like a real number to you? I did the
Mhm.
math on it. It's like 176 miles or 179 miles, because 16 times the 29,000 feet, whatever, for Everest. And it's like, that's not even really real. I don't know what 176 miles going up and down means really. And so until you do it, and I think there's a saying too, the best way to train for the trail is do the trail.
It's to do the trail,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. There's not a lot of
Exactly.
mountains in Minnesota so that I can practice, and work up, the right muscles and stuff. But man, you work them up really quick on the trail. And remember Jane Fonda,
Mhm.
buns of steel.
Yeah.
Holy wowzer. Yes, I know what that means now. Like we had no butts when we got done. They were just like all just flat muscle. So, um, but I would do it again. I mean, it was a great experience. It was, hopefully not a once in a lifetime thing. I don't know what I'm going to, do next to, and it's been a few years now and I'm a little bit older. And I did the math once too. I had my financial planning son um, verify my math, because I don't really do numbers, but when you calculate like the number of people that do the trail each year and the percent
Mhm.
of women that do the trail and the percent of people that finish the trail, do it in the
Mhm.
whole, it comes out to we believe from our calculations and the statistics we found, I'm one of less than 10 women my age that have completed the trail in all
Mm.
time, not just that year.
Wow, that's amazing.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And so
And
it
that's
is.
not surprising, but it is an amazing number.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, we met so many people. On the trail that like fit the norm. Kids that are out of high school before they go to college, or kids
Mhm.
that are done with college before they get their job, or that's kind of what Greta did. And once you start a job, it's hard to imagine taking 5 months off, earlier in your career. Then you're going to get married, then you're going to have a family, and there's
Mhm.
all this stuff that
It's
goes
hard to
on.
fit it all in
Yeah,
as
yeah.
life takes over.
Exactly. And it's
Mhm.
not that life is bad or what you're trying to do is good or bad. It's just that the timing is different and it's just hard to juggle both. But we did see a family. The dad was I think a high school history and technology teacher maybe. And the mom is a real estate agent. They have three boys and they were 12, 14, and 16 on the trail. And they were trying to do it the summer that the dad was off teaching school and for the summer. And I mean, it was just great. And we bumped into a couple times. In fact, they were the family that slack packed us for the last night hiking before we summited the next day. I think we had 9 miles left to do or something like that. No, I think it was very short to Springer Mountain, but then you walk again for like 4, 6, 8. I think it's 8 more miles to get to the visitor
Mhm.
shelter at Amicalola Falls.
Uncle Falls.
Everybody was standing there to cheer us in and stuff. But they set up our tents and they had home cooked meal on the fire. And the boys were in charge of setting up the tents and getting the fire started and keeping the, food warm. And the mom and dad walked out to just walk us back in and, chat along the way and stuff. So it was just so sweet, so special. We didn't have to do
That's
any work
wonderful.
that night, just eat. We got s'mores. They brought Mountain Dew, of course, fully sugared Mountain Dew, which was like gold on the trail. So it was a great way to finish with friends like that and good food like that. It was so fun. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeanne Gallagher, Discover Rising Tides, and I want to just take a moment to talk about my friend, Denise Stegall. I am honored to call her as a friend, and I'm so grateful that she gives us her insight during our shows each show and talks about healthy living, eating real food. You hear Denise say, eat real food a lot. Well, she means it, and she knows what she's talking about. She is an amazing healthy living coach, curator at Living Healthy List. And if you ever have any questions about what is real food, why does it matter? How does that apply to me? How do I change? What do I need to do? How do I even create a healthy living shopping list? Make sure that you call her. She is your healthy living coach. And you can find her at healthylivinglist.com. The gist of it is, Susan, that when you embark on this journey and your plan is to raise money for Parkinson's, and that's your goal,
Yeah.
and I would assume that you might feel like you received more from the trail than what you might have given to Parkinson's or your efforts for giving.
Oh,
What did the trail do for you?
yeah, I would say without a doubt. I mean, we were so blessed. It was just, um, you know, and in so many ways. I mean, breathtaking views. And now I know what that actually means. Did you climb a
Mm.
mountain and you get to the top and you're like, oh my, I think I can see for 400 miles, kind
Wow.
of thing. Just like crazy. And just the amount of time, 154 days on trail of being in God's creation, this beautiful, beautiful, scenery and nature and just I mean, who gets the opportunity to do that? That was so huge. And then, the time with our daughter and getting to
Mhm.
know her again, you know, um, meeting the people we did along the trail. By far, I felt, I felt like what we were doing for Parkinson's was so tiny. And and I don't want to minimize, the amount of money we raised and the people that were so generous. And, there's people that gave multiple times. I think they gave some at the beginning, like, oh yeah, we better give now quick before they quit. And oh gee, we better give them some more. They're actually doing it, then at the end they did it, it was great.
Well, I'm gonna give it
Uh,
more. Look, they actually
yeah,
did
it was great.
it.
And so that was sweet. And there was a number of people that did that was really, really, really great. But the other thing is that um, it takes so much. And Michael J. Fox Foundation is just so good at getting people excited about helping and building that community and celebrating their donors and education and research is just like they do such an excellent job. And the American Parkinson's Disease Association too. There's a couple of really rock star organizations that are really supporting the cause. Um, and it gave me the opportunity to learn more about it, become more educated about it. Recently, I was asked to, I think they call it advocate for Parkinson's funds. There's a federal initiative for Parkinson's, but there's not dollars defined yet. And so I had the opportunity to talk to a U.S. representative from Minnesota here and prepare my story of what, in 3 minutes, why should we do this? And to be able to tell a personal story and what the Parkinson's really means and things like that. So that was great. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that if I hadn't, hiked the trail and got to know Michael J. Fox. Um, just the number of people that we meet that say, oh, my mom has it, my grandpa had it, my dad died of it, I was a caregiver. It's really, really a lot of people that are touched by it. And it is it's just such a cruel irony, that it's with these cognitive issues and the medications and the eating schedule and not eating schedule is just so complicated. And it's been, that's been a real challenge. And you can set alarms on your phone and title the alarms, and you can have a spreadsheet you're referring to, and you know, I don't know that a day goes by that Ron is able to do his medication and stuff the way he's supposed to do it. It's just
Mhm.
so complicated and so hard, and we're working hard to simplify it and that kind of stuff, but it's still difficult. But I would say absolutely the trail was worth it from a personal perspective, from a, give back, do good perspective, from a family perspective. I mean, I talk about Greta, but my son and daughter-in-law were there back home, supporting my husband, taking care of our dog during the summer. So my husband didn't have to worry about it, or she didn't have to sit in the house with her legs crossed while he was at work, things like that. Just, everybody, it was truly a huge family effort to make this a reality. And everybody had to give up, something to do that. But for me, it certainly was worth it. I can safely say for Greta, it was totally worth it. I think for my
Mhm.
son and daughter-in-law too, and whenever I would fall and have an injury, Ron would offer to come out, and I think he was a little bit jealous he wasn't hiking, and Greta wouldn't let him do it. It was like, you don't have any idea, what this is like. But she did take him hiking out in Colorado a couple times to some pretty difficult hikes. So,
Oh,
and
that's
she got him to run a
fantastic.
half marathon before we left. So she
Oh,
keeps
that's fantastic.
keeps him active. Yeah. Yeah. But the learnings
So,
were great too, what I learned, not just the emotional stuff and that, but yeah, there was a lot of really solid learnings along the trail that kind of surprised me. But when do you have that amount of time to just think?
mhm.
S- E. Cummings says sometimes I sits and sometimes I thinks and sometimes I sits and thinks. Well, I have to do my version of that. Sometimes I hikes and sometimes I thinks and sometimes I hikes and thinks. Because you have a lot of time to do that,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. It's really
And we
awesome.
don't take the time for that anymore. I think the world is so fast that we're not allowing ourselves the chance to slow down,
Yeah.
to be within.
And that's one thing. That's interesting you say that because like time kind of stands still on the trail. What? We've only gone 3 miles. We got, we hope to do our average 14 and a quarter miles toward the end because a hurricane was coming in. We were going to slam into another hurricane, and we did about a marathon a day for almost a week. So, but it takes a long time. A lot of headlight hiking that last week.
So, do the post trail, we're doing some advocate work, and what's calling you now, Susan?
Well, because I did learn so much along the trail, and we love our business, we love our employees, they're like family. I think I said that they, very supportive, and everybody, works together great, know what we're doing, got great clients. We get referrals from our clients for other clients. So, it's working really well. And but one of the things that I do a lot of is because I'm like the chief sales officer too, I go to a lot of networking events and reach out and talk to people, and I do a ton of mentoring. And one of the things that I really enjoy doing is speaking. And that now I have the trail story to speak about. And I've started to take what I learned on the trail and apply it to these things that I know and love in business, because there's a lot of crossover. And and I had a lot of time to think about this. And I think one time, a couple times on the trail, actually did LinkedIn posts about what I'm learning from the trail for business. And
Mhm.
because I broke the learnings down into three core things. You need the right tools, right? You're not going to go do anything big without the right tools. And
Mhm.
then you can have the best tools in the world, but if you don't know how to use them, you don't have the right training. Take AI, for example, great tools. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have policies and guidelines on how to, you know, shape that learning and how you're supposed to use it, or what there's work to learn the tools and to do it the right way being defined by you or your company. And then, team. There are jobs that are very solo, and, you might be doing hardcore coding or something, but isn't somebody going to check your code? Aren't you going to talk about what the problem is, what you're trying to code for? I mean, a team is so important, and I really, really learned that along the trail. I mean, that learning sustained throughout, the last day on the hike. It's just like, I mean, that family I was talking about, They were part of our team. I mean, they were thrilled to be part of the team. There was people that would reach out to us. They'd message us a lot of times on comments on the YouTube videos, and they're like, "We think you're getting close. We want to take. Will you come stay at our house, please, please? I know you're vegetarian. And I've been practicing some recipes, and I think this
No.
olive one is really good. And just." I know it's going to rain, this other hurricane, then there's even snow in the forecast. When we were like in Blacksburg, is that Virginia?
Virginia.
Where yeah, Virginia Tech is. Sweet, sweet couple of sisters, twin sisters, there and their dogs. Oh my gosh, we were in heaven. We had dogs and food and showers and oh my goodness. And but it's like it's getting really bad and it's gonna snow tonight. So what do you mean you don't have a stocking cap? Well, it's
Yeah.
summertime and in the winter we're in the south. Yeah, it snows in the south. Put my stocking cap on under your helmet that I finally figured out I'd protect my head with a helmet. And here's some wintry gloves and I mean they'd go and buy us this stuff and
So
just
sweet.
just yeah, so good. So the importance of team, and then you take that and equate that to, you know, I taught I talk about it in the context of leadership
Mhm.
or business, in general, or entrepreneurship. I do a ton in entrepreneurship, and it's just it's so fun to be able to tell the story of the trail, and then but the context is teaching and helping collegiate entrepreneurs understand what's important as they start and grow their business.
Mhm.
Do you have the right tools? Do you know how to use them? If it's something that you don't know how to do, how do you build a team around that so it can get done? Like me, I'm
Mhm.
not a numbers person. I got to have somebody financial on my team. I
Mhm.
don't do that stuff. You gotta watch the numbers. You gotta watch your inventory. That's numbers. Operationally, you gotta be good. So I mean, you can't, if you're an entrepreneur, you can't just hire people like you. Maybe on the trail, having all people like our daughter would be a smart thing to do because they could probably run the trail in, a month. But and there's people that do that. I think the record is 54 days. I don't know,
It
crazy.
was
A
just
woman,
recently broken by a woman. It's
yeah,
incredible.
I was gonna say a woman holds it, so that's awesome. And but she was well supported. She had a
Mhm.
team.
She had a
Her
team
job was to
and
run.
she had the tools.
Yes, yes, is so great. So, or even to talk about the trail in the context of behavioral health and well-being and
Mm.
defining your purpose. I mean, all of those go so good together with the trail. And I'm at the age that, I'm starting to kind of forget things. And my kids would laugh. What do you mean starting? Um, so but and we have the videos. Greta and I laugh all the time. At some point, we have to watch those videos. We're probably just going to binge watch,
Yeah.
all the videos. But I really want to remember this stuff and I want to share this information. So I started to do more presentations on it, and that's
Mhm.
really fun. As you can tell, I like to talk. And then but I also want to write a book and like capture this stuff. And I think I've been talking to people about it. I think I'm gonna write the core story, like a book that anybody could, pick up and read that, wants to learn about the trail or interested in hiking. But then because it has so much learning, I think I'm gonna do like a workbook kind of
Mm.
format or a journaled, guided, you know, something, I don't know what to call it, a journal to go along with the main book. And it might be, okay, if you're interested in leadership or,
Mhm.
corporate business with the big B, or if you're an entrepreneur, then it'd be the big E, or if it's mental health and maybe it's, this is what I learned on the trail and this is what I took away from it. And here's a journal page. You think about what this means to you and you write down and process this, as you go through it. And I think something like that. Oh, and then I can't forget, I can't believe it shouldn't have been last, should have been first. I saved the best for last. Okay. A Bible study or a devotion, because
Mhm.
not kidding at all, the miracles of God along the trail,
Mm.
or you couldn't count them. Couldn't count them.
You have so much to offer, and I'm so honored to have you here with the message. And there's it's indie do good over and over again. It's
Yeah,
everything. And it
yeah,
is your ability to raise money for Parkinson's and look how much that you gleaned out
yeah,
for yourself. And then you're taking that knowledge and that new
yeah,
experience and you're sharing that with others. in a format that's easy to digest, but it's also
Yeah.
such an important message.
Yeah.
I
Well,
am, and
yeah, it's
your
so,
speaking career is that it's the next,
yeah,
in my
yeah,
opinion, the next obvious step to
yeah.
share and continue to make a difference.
Definitely. I think it's just like it's kind of like when you have good news and you want to go tell somebody, you can't keep it
Mhm.
inside. It's kind of like that. And
Yes.
even though it was a couple of years ago, I'm still excited like that. And now I have AI tools. I mean, I was talking to some other speakers and they said, "Oh, you got 96 videos? Well, this AI platform will listen to your videos and write the transcript of the whole thing, and then you can divide it up into chapters and you'd have it written in a weekend." And there was
Well,
another
there you
woman
go.
that uses AI, and I think it was over the holiday weekend. She was alone and had no family, and she wrote 16 books over the weekend. Like it was a
Oh
long
my.
weekend, but still, yeah. So, and like heck, I'm a accredited professional communicator. That's what I did in my job, before I did this other stuff. And so I should be able to crank it out, get AI
Oh,
to do the rough draft, and yeah, away we
no
go.
doubt. No
But I've been
doubt.
saying this for
And
a while.
when that happens, you're coming back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Susan,
Good.
I want to thank you so much in taking the time. I know that you have some personal things going on today and you're taking the time to talk with us, and that means a lot. And thank you to Ron and Greta for doing what they're doing today to allow you to be here with us. And
Yeah.
I so much appreciate it. I love your story. I could talk to you for hours about the trail,
Yeah.
and you just do good everywhere you go, and it's an honor to know you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And to end on that note, I don't want people to think that, doing good means just raising money. I
Mhm.
mean, there's so many ways you can do good. I mean, seeing people see, that movie that's like, I see you. People want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be smiled at. And it might seem like a small thing, but you never know what people are going through. And, raising money is great. It's not the only thing. There's lots of ways to do good. So just
What a
find one that
beautiful,
works for you.
what a beautiful way to end that. Thank you.